grocery store. It's my head.
Unsyndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Belegian.
Okay, he is Shep. I'm Sean. And yes, Shep, grocery shopping is my happy place.
Yeah.
I used to run into a former Detroit Lion at the grocery store in town, like almost at the same time for not weeks, years running. And we would just kind of laugh and he'd go, I got to get out of the house. And I'm like, this is my happy place. And so, yes, when we're done tonight, I'm going grocery shopping.
Why at night do you go shopping?
You know what? Tonight, I need to get out of the house. It's one of those things. There's, one of those things. Love the family, but all right, don't tell anybody. My girlfriend's or my girlfriend, my daughter's boyfriend's over.
Oh, really? All right, so let's go through the litmus test of your daughter's boyfriend and how he has to treat her in an effort for him to get Sean Belegion's approval. This is a big deal now, okay?
All right.
Big deal. All right.
All right.
Let's compare fatherly notes on boys dating our daughters. Go.
Okay.
Go.
Be polite. That number one. Like honestly, hi Eric. Be polite. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, have a sense of humor. Because I'm going to razz you. I'm going to give you the business. And if you give me attitude, I will literally knock out every tooth out of your mouth. And there's a real good chance I'll bite your face. Like, so just take it when it comes. And
those
we'll
are
be
dogs.
okay.
I thought those are your dogs. Your dog does that. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
No, but Shep, you know the routine, right or wrong. Okay. And you have sons and you have a daughter. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your sons are your boys. Yeah. Okay. Your daughter's your princess. It's different. It's a different set of circumstances. There's no other way to say that. It's completely unfair. I don't make the rules. That's just the way it is. It's completely unfair, and you deal with it.
100%. And as I've said to the various boyfriends that my daughter has brought home, just want you to know you're not good enough for her. That's okay. Because I'm not good enough for her mom. No dad's daughter has an equal, and that's okay.
Yep.
But rules I have, first of all, you got to come to the door. Do not text from a car in the driveway and say, I'm here. Wrong answer.
Ever.
Come up, knock on the door. We'll open it, shake hands, say hello, so on and so forth. Do not pull any of that crap. One guy did that. My daughter said, I just want you to know I can't go out with you again. And he said, why? And she said, because you didn't come to the door. My dad is not happy. That never changed again. He's like, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. That's what happens today. A lot of guys or girls, I mean, they just text. Nobody wants to say hello to parents. Nobody wants to feel like, they can go through the qualifying line. And eventually it's going to have to happen. So that's the deal, okay? You got to open the door, right? And you've got to be, like you said, polite.
Yep. I don't think he's asking too much. And if I choose to throw a snowball at you, you just take it like a man. Just take it like a man. And
depending on where you hit him, right? I mean,
Shep, like no joke, literally the first day I met him, he came over. There was a snowstorm. I took the dogs outside. I came inside. I had a snowball in my hand. I fired it right at his chest. And I can't believe you did that. My daughter loved it. She was dying laughing. And so now we have a laugh out of it. Really, we have a laugh out of it.
Yeah,
so good. It's a good time.
So we're pretty close. Okay.
Karis LeVert, a Detroit Piston. Shep.
Yeah,
I think you're familiar with him a little bit, aren't you? You're a little familiar with him.
I am. I'm very familiar with him. First of all, grade A guy. Second of all, plays really hard at both ends of the floor. I would be lying if I didn't say I was somewhat concerned about his history of health or the lack thereof.
Sure.
So I think that's a bit of an issue. you would love to get 60 plus games out of him. I think he can defend multiple positions. He's a good shooter. He's a really good teammate. He's a slasher, so he can deck it and drive it. Would you rather have had him or Dennis Schroeder? Well, I look at a guy like Karras, and he can guard multiple positions. He can handle the basketball. I don't think he handles it as well as Schroeder did. Detroit lost out on Schroeder to Sacramento. I like the pickup. I do. I do wonder. I mean, Malik Beasley, with that whole soap opera situation right now, Sean. So suddenly you have Cunningham, you have Ivy, you have Sasser, you have the draft pick, you have Levert, who can swing a little bit, and possibly Beasley, depending on what happens. That's a heavy load in that 1, 2, 3 positions.
I don't envision Malik Beasley coming back. Do you? I think, again, I don't know 100%. It has been alleged, reported that the Pistons kind of went like this with the offer since all the allegations came down. And in the interest of being fair, nothing has been proven yet. No charges have been laid, et cetera, et cetera. But Shep, would you agree this perhaps closes the door on Malik Beasley?
Nope. I think it depends on the investigation.
Okay.
I wouldn't jump the gun. I don't think Malik Beasley knew what was going on. I don't think there's anybody. When the FBI is involved, okay, when national governmental agencies are involved, I don't think individuals know. I can't say that I thought the Pistons knew either. I think this comes as a surprise to a lot of people. But I wouldn't slam that door. Let me ask you this. Do you think there are a lot of teams who are disappointed that they slammed the door so quickly on Trevor Bauer? I know it's a different allegation and it's a different sport. You've got to let things play out. And I would guess, now you might be able to get him at a cheaper deal. I don't know. But I don't think the Pistons are unlike anybody else. They're going to back off, and they should back off because you don't know what's going to happen with the guy. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
I still can't figure out why Trevor Bauer isn't signed now. I can't. And Shep, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's almost as if somebody sitting in an ivory tower said, we don't want this guy part of our club. Because to say that he was vindicated would be an understatement.
Agreed, 100%. But he is older. I don't know what he's pitching like. So, I mean, would you take a flyer on him for the back end of your starting rotation if you need? Absolutely. Are you trying to tell me that there's 32 teams in Major League Baseball and none of them can use him? That's surprising to me. I don't know how much it would be, but the worst part of that whole scenario, we've seen it happen before. Okay, we've seen it happen with him, and we've seen it happen at the collegiate level in other sports, Duke lacrosse, for example, where there are allegations and people just bought in so quickly, and it's ruined their lives. It's ruined their career. They have lost millions and millions of dollars. Now, I'm not asking people to feel sorry for him, but would you want to be judged so quickly, so severely, and then basically blackballed from your entire profession? I thought it was bullshit.
Oh, 100%. Oh, this is good. Look what Pete said. First conversation. Good luck treating her as well as I have treated her and her mom. Be honest, be a gentleman, and know that this little girl is my entire world. That's awesome.
That's well said.
Well said, Pete. That it's a different dynamic. Karras Levert, Malik Bet Beasley. Raptors Porter got banned from the NBA for the same thing Beasley did.
We don't know he did it. Okay, so
did you see some of those videos though? It's kind of funny. Like,
yeah. There's a reason. There's speculation. Yeah, you can understand why people are a little wondering. Like, wait a minute, the spread is 8.5. You're with Minnesota. You're playing the Clippers. There's 5 seconds left. They're up by 9. You take the inbound pass, hustle down the floor, jam it down to make it a 7-point game instead of just dribbling it out like most teams would. There is a little bit of curiosity on why you would do something so severely.
Okay, so Shep, I'm going to tell you something, and I don't know if you and I have had this conversation before. I used to say this all the time on the air. I was a degenerate gambler a long time ago. I'm not joking. Like, it was bad, okay? It was so bad that I refused to put that stuff on my phone. No disrespect to anybody else. I have to police myself because I know how I am. And in the second year of the Pistons back-to-back, I'm telling you, so many things happened that year, Shep, that just made me think to myself that something's going on, okay? So I'm not being funny, okay? And there was one
You
hook.
cannot not be funny.
Okay.
It's a Seinfeld line. You
Okay.
cannot not be funny. Are you being funny now? Yeah, you're funny. Okay, go ahead.
Whenever the Pistons were a heavy favorite, like against Charlotte or one of the expansion teams or something, as God is my witness, they never covered. And I mean never, ever. So if they went into a game, where it's the 52-17 Pistons taking on the 12-58 Denver Nuggets, okay? My friends and I were going like this. Because we knew, and the line was always -20 or whatever, okay? I can't tell you how many games that season. I'm not making this up. You could go fact check me. That the Pistons were up 25 points like late in the third quarter, and then they emptied the bench, and honest to God, that lead just went like this, and the opposition always covered. I mean, always covered. It was the safest bet ever. Now, hear me out. Obviously, that's going to happen in the game of basketball. But do you remember about 10 years later, there were the reports about some bookie out in West Bloomfield saying that the fix was in for a lot of those games, and not the fix, the manipulation was in.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they again, it was nothing ever came of it and everything. But my buddies and I were all calling each other, going, "Dude, we won so much money off that. People finally knowing everything." Obviously that's going to happen in a game. You empty the bench, you rest your starters. But honest to goodness, I can't tell you how many times that happened. In particular, that 89-90 season, it just always, if the Pistons were favored by 17, Shep, bury the other team to cover. It was amazing how often it happened.
What's the implication there? Is the implication that it could be Chuck Daly suggesting, I've got some money riding on this? It had to be more. It had to be more than Brett Musburger, right?
Yeah. That was, if I'm not mistaken. And please, somebody fact check me. I think somebody tried to allege that Isaiah Thomas was part of it. And that was the story many years. Nothing obviously became of it. And I'm not insinuating that was going on. My whole point in bringing that up is, yeah, sometimes if you want to look for something, you can see some things that are going to make the eyebrows go up. You know what I mean?
No question. This is funny from Austin. Malik Beasley article I read was sponsored by FanDuel.
What do you think? It's everywhere, man. Like, Shep, that's the world we live in now.
Super disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, just to have the allegations, just to have people looking into it. You don't have to go that far back to remember Art Schlichter. You don't have to go that far back, as somebody had pointed out, to look at Michael Porter with the Raptors. How do you think you're getting away with this stuff? It doesn't make any sense to me. On the other hand, you and I have had this discussion. When these leagues are constantly throwing these betting sites at you left and right, the temptation has to be there. It has to be there for some of these guys. Now, Malik Beasley, you wouldn't think it would be quite this tempting because, he's now an established player. Last year, he was a pretty established player. I mean, this is a career year for him, but you would think he's pretty established where he wouldn't have to go do that. Maybe it's just a sickness for some of these guys.
Can I look this up? Can I look here? I just looked this up, Shep, and it was a book by Armin Katayan.
Yep.
You're familiar with Armin Katayan?
Sure. From the state of Michigan and former CBS and HBO contributor. Yep.
Money Players. It was called Money Players. It came out in 1997. They explained that multiple teammates had expressed their concern over the conduct of Zeke and James Buddha Edwards. And while Thomas and Edwards both denied the allegations, the author of the book said, Armin Katayan said, and I quote, "Our sources are real. They live and breathe. The lawyers know who they are, and they are prepared to stand up and be counted if they have to." Yep. And then in June of 1990, just days before the Pistons won their second consecutive NBA championship, and he was named final MVP, Isaiah was put in front of a grand jury as he had become the subject of a federal gambling investigation.
Mm.
So when that stuff came out, I'm telling Shep, I was such a degenerate. When you are betting $400 on a Tuesday regular season game in the NBA season, and you maybe have 48 cents to your name, you might have a problem. You might have a problem.
I would say so, unless you know Tim Donahue. I mean, if you knew him and you had a for sure thing, then I get it.
Things were okay. Hey, let me tell you about Wealth Advantage Group. If you lost a lot of money gambling, these are guys that can help you plan for the future. It's time for you to take charge, damn it. And I'm not talking about with one of those apps on your phone. Located in historic downtown Northville, owned by those two fellas right there, Mike Husak and Jeff Husak. Mike has a birthday coming up on the 4th.
Happy birthday, Mike.
These guys understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Whether you're, in the position that Shep and I are in, you're just starting out, maybe you're trying to, get those gambling losses back. It doesn't matter. These guys will personalize it just for you. They have clients in over 20 different states. The investment world is a complex one. If you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, it's time to work with the experts. Great guys, the Wealth Advantage Group. Reach out to them, 248-773-8574, or check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com.
Right, two things I want to hit. Two things I want to make sure. Okay, so we got to talk about Skubal's performance yesterday. It was incredible. But I also want to talk about NHL free agency real quick, which is technically not supposed to start until tomorrow, but oops, there are ways around it.
Mm-hmm.
First things first with Skubal. And I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy here and a downer. Career tying high 13 strikeouts in 7 innings, 94 pitches, 1 walk, 1 hit. That's it. It's a 3-0 game. Managing is hard. They've got a better feel for their pitchers and their players than you and I ever will. 94 pitches, and he's out. Struck out 8 of 9 batters, 7 in a row at one point. No one was coming close. My initial thought as I turned to fandom was, who's better in the bullpen than the guy you got out there right now? So what we should be focused on is just how good he is, how great he is, really, and how fortunate Tigers fans are to watch him. And it's become more than just Detroit must-watch TV. It's become baseball must-watch TV. I can't help but wonder why. Is it strictly because I'm selfish and I want to see it? Or knowing that it's 3-0 and all it takes is a bloop, a walk, and a blast to tie it and spoil the entire day? Why wouldn't you have him pitch another inning? I get the up-down thing. I've talked to AJ about this in the past. Up-down, in case people are wondering, you come in, you sit down, you get back up, you go back out. All right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Guy's got 1 career complete game. I get how pitching is handled these days. It just frustrates me to no end. Why? Why not another inning?
Shep, I was at the Anibal Sanchez game, which is the record for most strikeouts in a game, 17. And it was insane. There was so much electricity. And Shep, you know better than anybody with your job, with the Tigers. You never know what to get in April. It was one of those beautiful April nights where, honestly, it was magical. And the buzz, the electricity from the fans and everything. Leland took out Sanchez in the 8th inning. And my first reaction was like, why are you doing this? Let's see if we can get to 12. And then, the first thing I did is I looked down and I looked at the pitch count. And the game was 10-0 at the time. He was at 121 pitches. I get it. He's at 121 pitches, so I dropped it. I felt the same way as you last night. I did. I'm not going to lie. If it was 10-0, maybe they let him go another inning. I don't know. Okay.
Why would you let him go another inning if it's 10-0 and not 3-0?
Especially with the logic you just threw down. There is nobody you're going to bring in there who's better than Tarik Skubal. Nobody. No. And he has that Justin Verlander way of ratcheting up as the game goes on. All of a sudden he's touching triple digits late in a start and everything. And I felt the exact same way.
Yeah,
100%.
I would just remind people, and it was 93 pitches. I think I said 94. 93 pitches. The reason the pitch count is up is because there's no stressful innings here, folks. He gave up one hit and one walk. All right. So a lot of times managers will fall back to that and say, well, had some stressful innings. Not really. Not
No.
when you have 13 punchies. Okay. Not when you're going deep into counts. He didn't have many counts where he was behind, number one, or take him to 3 balls in the count.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the whole thing. I get it if they're stressful innings. All right. And he's had some of them. All right. It's made me go, oh, I wonder a little bit. I mean, there was a start earlier this year against Boston. We had double-digit strikeouts, but he gave up a homer. He gave up 5 runs. There was some stress on the base paths. That's oftentimes what you look at. This time, it's to say he was in cruise control might be a little bit of hyperbole, but it's not that far-fetched.
No.
So I'd love to know how you get to that end of the line, that end of the game where you're still on the bump and every pitcher wants it. Every elite pitcher wants it. And for me, I worry as much about the game as anything else. I know the most important thing is getting to the playoffs. I know to have him fresh. I'm wondering how many more pitches would have made him not fresh in the playoffs when they open up the playoffs against Tampa or whomever it may be. I'm just not sure about that. And I couldn't help but wonder, he did something yesterday, Sean, as you and I know, because we both talked about it, that only 2 Tiger pitchers have done in the last 25 years. Go 4-0 or better in the month of June. Well, Verlander was one in 2011, and Scherzer was another in 2013. Scherzer's got 12 complete games, Sean. That's it. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's got 216 wins, I think, but he's got 3 Cy Youngs, a couple of World Series rings. He has as many wins as Curt Schilling, who I think should be in the Hall of Fame. Talk about a big game pitcher. But Curt Schilling had 83 complete games, and it's not like that's a lot, right?
Sure.
I mean, Bob Gibson in 1968 is throwing complete games the entire month of June, July, and most of August. And we're babying these pitchers, and I'm not second guessing AJ Hinch. I think he's arguably the best manager in baseball. It's just, to me, I'm trying to wrap my head around it a little bit as I'm watching it. What am I missing that he continues to stay so dominant, and why you wouldn't want him out there?
No doubt. Very quickly, let me tell you about Lindsay Broadwell. When it's time to get yourself a house, you're buying, you're selling, oftentimes both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? Well, that lady right there, Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the mean streets of Northville. She's expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert not only in the area, but in all facets of the business. And when it's time to move, Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly. Make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She'll help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Shep, a couple comments, and then I want to jump into the hockey stuff as well. The ref gambling stuff, you would think players would be smarter. They make millions. Just look at what guys are getting paid today. What could bookies possibly offer them? Well, I mean, think if the reports are true, Malik Beasley had a 3-year, $42 million offer on the table that now isn't on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's huge. Austin said, not sure if you guys are saving the puck talk for tomorrow, but let me just say, whatever the Red Wings do is for fun. Florida's winning at least 2 more cups. The best free A left is Ehlers. Disappointing NHL free agent season. You know what? We knew that for months, though. We did, and it became less disappointing, especially with Marner going off the beaten path, and Noah Dobson going off the beaten path
sign and trade for those guys.
Yeah. So Shep, let me say this: how much excitement does John Gibson bring? I don't know. If you want to debate it, you can debate it. I'm with you. I hear you. I'll also say this. I'll take him over Peter Mrazek. I will.
100%.
I'll take him all day over Peter Mrazek.
But I was having a conversation with my son, who's a hockey geek, the other day, and he said, if you think about this, the Red Wings need a number 1 goalie,
mm-hmm.
a number 1 center,
mm-hmm.
and a number 1 defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
John Gibson's not a number one goalie, but he's better than what they had. I wouldn't mind a tandem of him and Talbot. I think that'd be fine. Okay. It makes me really concerned about the progress or the lack thereof of Sebastian Cossa as a first round pick for the general manager who drafted him and comes out and says, we think he needs another year in the AHL. I'm like, holy crap, another whole year. There's you and I talk about this. There's nobody out there who's a number one center. There's nobody out there who can be a number one defenseman for you. So you're going to have to take what you get. I didn't expect Mitch Marner, to be honest with you.
No.
On the other hand, I sure as hell didn't expect Sam Bennett 8 years in Florida at $8 million, doubling his salary, and I sure didn't expect a 6-year contract extension for Brad Marchand in Florida either, Sean.
Ekblad took the hometown discount as well, and I don't care what Gary Bettman says. You can't tell me that winning and a lack of sales tax isn't part of the issue. You can't. And I thought that was incredibly, and I'm not a big biz guy, okay? Let me get that out of the way. I am not a big biz guy, but I thought his reaction to Bissonnette's line of questioning, Shep, I thought it was very quizzical. You ask anybody, are you kidding me? No sales tax to make that $6 million stretch a hell of a lot more than it would, say, in Toronto, in Montreal, in Detroit. Don't say that isn't part of it.
I think it's naive. It's naive to think that it's not part of it. I don't know if that's what's forcing guys to go to places like that.
Sure.
I still think a lot of them have a little bit of nostalgia with Original Six members and good hockey towns. It helps to go to a winner. All right. That's all there is to it. I mean, you and I have done tons of interviews with athletes. If you haven't made the money yet, you want the money. If you don't have the rings yet, you chase the rings. The perfect combo is both.
I thought it was interesting. I want to get into the Tarasenko thing in a second because I made the joke earlier today. If this was 2019, the Wings are looking good with Tarasenko and Gibson. So they're feeling really good about that until they move Tarasenko on. Hopefully we need Skubal in October more than a Sunday night in June from your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, but here's the only problem with that. I mean, look, last year, what do you have, 192 innings, 31 starts. I mean, you're going to pile those up a little bit. Okay? You're not just going to save him for crying out loud. If you go about managing or coaching with constant worry and concern, then you're not doing justice to your franchise or your players.
Austin summed this up. Greg Maddux once threw a 77-pitch complete game shutout. Skubal obviously just isn't good enough, and he needs to get on Maddux level and pitch to contact more. So let me throw this out there, Shep. I saw a lot of people, and this is where sometimes I have an issue, and I echoed my sentiments on Facebook the other day. This offseason is critical for the Red Wings. I mean that. And I don't know where the fix is coming. And let me tell you why I say that, okay? I've been saying this for a while. I've said it to you for the past year at least since we've been doing this. This is the toughest division in hockey. I don't care what anybody says, okay? You've got Florida, who isn't going anywhere. You have Tampa, who isn't going anywhere. You have Maple Leaf, who isn't going anywhere, but especially isn't going anywhere come playoff time. You have the Bruins, who began their initial descent. You have the Buffalo Sabres, who are just a feeder club, okay? Absolutely clueless. And then you have two teams that not that long ago were in the same position as the Red Wings, maybe behind, that have done it a lot better and have been a lot more aggressive and have done I'm point blank. I'm done. I'm not going to hide the slapdom anymore. What the Habs are doing right now is unbelievable. Okay. And mind you, they were in the finals 4 years ago. So I kind of expect the Red Wings to be more proactive. And this comes back to what Tom just said. Shep, they have $20 million that they can play with. And one little known fact that I'm sure you know, they could legitimately spend $30 million. You can spend 10% plus the cap as long as you bring it back down by September. You move some things around and you figure it out. That's a heck of a lot of money. And when I look at this free agent class, where are you going to spend that? Like, honest to goodness.
Well, I'm not a big believer. I don't think you're proposing this either, though. But I'm not a big believer that just because you have the money, you spend it.
100%.
I mean,
that's the most important thing.
Yeah, we don't have to look too far back to the Pistons when Joe Dumars spent money on Ben Gordon and Charlie Villanueva just because they had the money. They weren't the right fits. Mm-hmm. I don't want to spend the money for the sake of spending it on guys who aren't going to help your team. Period.
I love the Gibson trade. I love dumping Tarasenko. I would love if we got Miller, Robertson, Rossi, whoever tomorrow. But seriously, Florida re-signed literally everyone as their top 4. D make as much as Edmonton's top 2. They aren't going away. Couldn't agree with you more. Let me say this about Tarasenko, though. I'm not going to pat a guy on the back really, really hard for undoing a mistake that he made a year ago. I mean, I'm glad he did it. I'm glad that he was able to pawn him off at Minnesota. That was one of those quizzical signings last year, Shep. I said it day one in fairness.
You did.
And I think I can't pat him too hard on the back and go, hey, man, good job pawning that contract that you decided to take over and you decided to take in. Now the big question is, okay, so now we're back to even. What are you prepared to do to move the bar along? And I think that's the $1 million question right now for them.
Yeah, but I do think it's fair to at least say, hey, I messed up. Quickly move on. All right. So Tom Gores did that with Monty Williams.
Did he
Wrong
ever?
guy, spent way too much money, but I'm going to cut my losses and then move on. I know it was terrible at the start. You called it right away on Tarasenko. At least he was willing to say, I was wrong. That's a hard thing to say today. Here you go.
Yeah.
And I don't think they pay any of the contract, right?
No, that's a gift.
So that's the beauty. Okay.
Let me tell you about Legacy. Did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy to get help with their home and auto insurance? These guys are fantastic. They're great guys. They literally look out for you. It's not you call them. They call us and make suggestions to save us money. Like, how stinking cool is that? Legacy has helped our listeners by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right question to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you, and help save you some money. Chances are you haven't checked your policies in the last while. You're probably paying too much. What are you waiting for? Give these guys a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, whatever the case may be. They got your back like they have our back. 586-209-4106 or visit legacypartnersins.com to get your quote. Max is better. More on Rob Parker. Rob Parker stopped saying things to be taken seriously so many years ago. I have such a difficult time listening to anything he says. And Rob, if you're watching, I'll tell you that to your face. And I've said it 1,000 times. With that being said, I'm going to get his back a little bit here. A little bit. Not with Max. Shep, there are people in Houston right now that are saying the exact same thing about what Hunter Brown is doing as we are saying about Tarik Skubal.
Yeah. Well, you and I had that conversation last week. The Brown-Valdez combo is pretty lethal. I think Rodon and Fried is pretty lethal. I'm not saying Rob's right by any stretch. If you had to say, if he wants Max Fried for one game, I'll take Tarik Skubal every single day. But you can have a little bit of understanding why some people defend Max Fried when he has as many wins as Skubal, when he has a lower ERA and has the same WAR. Now, Skubal beats him in strikeouts per 9. He beats him in strikeouts and walks differential or ratio, beats him in WHIP. They're both really good. Hell, I'll tell you this. If I had to pick one guy, I might pick Paul Skeens, as long as he's not pitching against the Tigers, considering what he's had to deal with and the terrible team that he's on. But I'm taking Tarik Skubal every single day against just about any pitcher in baseball. There's an article I recently read that are talking about if you had to take Skubal or anybody else, and every national writer, well, I shouldn't say every one of them, but people for this article, almost all of them said somebody else instead of Tarik Skubal. One person said Skubal. The others were saying Zach Wheeler. One said Paul Skeens. One said Max Fried. And I think, when a guy is as dominant and as good as Tarik Skubal is, people are trying to find ways to try and find a little bit of a knock against him. And it's really hard to do with Tarik Skubal in 2025 and 2024.
Shep, I think the guy who, like, seriously, if you look at the numbers, the guy who will give Skubal the most quote unquote run for the money is Hunter Brown. I do. He's leading the AL in ERA, and very, very quickly, let me check their WHIP. I know they're very close in WHIP. Skubal's at a .83. Brown is at a .89. I mean, it's insane right now. So I'm with you. I'm not defending Rob Parker. That man hasn't said anything sincere in 15 years. But I think some arguments can be made, and maybe, especially based on what you're just saying, maybe it's not the slam dunk that we in Detroit think it is. How's that?
Yeah, I just think, look, there's some depth at the position, which is, that's really encouraging. I think the other thing you got to look at is, pitchers pitch differently when they have to pitch from behind or they're not getting any run support. And if you look at Paul Skeens and how many times this guy, from a run support standpoint, all right, 3 times. So this is a guy he started as many games as Skubal. 3 times he's gotten 0 runs. 1 time he's gotten 1 run. 3 times he's gotten 2 runs. All right. Only twice has he gotten more than 4 runs in a game this year. Only twice. And look at his numbers. Look at his whip. Look at his WAR, because his WAR is better. Okay. His WAR is better than Tarik Skubal's. Don't look at the wins. All right. But look at his ERA. Look at his whip. Look at his strikeouts per 9. His walks per 9 are higher. He's a hell of a pitcher, man. He really is. He just gets absolutely no run support, and his team's not even close to being in the mix.
I think Tom was the first guy to point it out. Patrick Kane is back. No surprise. $3 million contract. So if you're keeping track at home, what's that?
You like that?
I don't mind it.
Okay.
I don't. I think, especially for $3 million, I don't mind it.
Okay.
You have $17 million left. Again, if you want to get really cute, you legitimately have $27 million left. As long as you get it back down in September, I don't mind that one. I don't mind that. I think anything more than that, I probably would have said.
Is there a name you want to see them aggressively go after
in this free agent market? No, I don't.
Here's the dilemma he's going to face.
It makes me think, I wonder if he's got some kind of wacky trade or something. Honestly, just thinking out loud, I wonder, your mind always goes there. Is there some kind of angle that he's going at,
Yeah. I mean, to me, any trade would be, you got to get rid of, and he said this, you got to get rid of some of our good players in exchange for another team's good players. And it just doesn't make us better. Who's going to make them better? But if he doesn't spend the money, Sean, everybody in unison will bitch and moan about an unwillingness to spend the money.
Christopher, you got it. You got it.
If you do spend the money and it's foolishly on free agents you don't think deserve it, then he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
So you're damned if you do,
Shep, I want to ask you about the 4th in a second. First, let me tell you about All About Catering. All About Catering LLC, full service caterer, graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events. Heck, if you want to be lazy on the 4th, I'm sure Rick and his gang would take care of you. Anything from 25 to 4,000 people, Rick and his gang at All About Catering will take care of you. Customer service satisfaction is their number one goal. Don't sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see all their menus and all their 5-star reviews. Give them a call, 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Eric and a couple people ask, what is the Shep household on the 4th of July? Do you go someplace? Do you cook? What happens at Casa de Shep on the 4th of July?
Okay, I do not cook generally. What we usually do is we go out with friends. It's always good to have friends who have boats, don't you think? I mean, you have a couple, but it's one for each house. But for us, it's really good to have friends who have boats, and we go out on the lake and we enjoy the fireworks on the lake after a dinner that is lakeside, which is really cool. Never used to be that way until our kids got older. And it's a really relaxing and enjoyable night. And I'm pretty pumped up that it's going to be a 3-day weekend. How about you?
We used to have like 50 people over on the 4th of July. That was always the big thing. And I would go buy
I missed that invitation. Go ahead.
I would go buy all the fireworks and everything. Shep, as you know, as you get older, this is the first year we're all in the same household in like 4 years. Like where Jack and Lauren are here too, where we're all together. We are just having a total chill. I said, what do you guys want? And as God is my witness, they all picked other different things. So it's like Duroc and sausages for Jack. Lauren wants a filet and hot dogs. Kristen wants chicken anything. So, me, I eat everything. I get to line it all up on the smoker and on the grill, and I'll eat every damn bit of it. And that sounds good to me.
When will you start?
You know what? I'm going to do it in waves. We talked about it in waves. Like in the morning, I'll do, around lunchtime, I'll do the barbecue stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that way I can put the stuff on the smoker. So, 4 hours later, if you're talking about the Duroc ribs, come dinner time, 4:30, 5 o'clock, things will be ready. So
tell me, buddy.
Coming in waves.
Yep. I was there. Yeah.
God bless you though. Have a happy 4th, and God bless
too,
America.
Brother. Yeah. And Todd, thank you. Same to everybody out there. Happy 4th.
All right. I got to piss like a racehorse. Everybody have a safe 4th of July. See you guys. Bye.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.